good that happened to you this morning. For me, we just finished our 60-hour reboot. It's a good morning because I actually am eating, can have coffee. Not that I didn't really enjoy the reboot, but it's always a really good morning when you're breaking the reboot. So yes, share in the comments why it's a good morning for you so far, and we'll get started in just a couple minutes as people are hopping on. I'm going to read some of these because I want to see why your mornings are all so good. Waking up, yes. Walked in the sunshine.
Sunrise.
Ooh, sunrise. Christina started her day early. Yes, I know the sky, at least where we live in Wisconsin, the sky looks like cotton candy this time of year as it's going up. So yes, share. Workout done. Way to go, Cindy. Courtney, yes. Another day. So yeah, type in the comments why it's a good morning for you so far. And we're gonna get started as people are continuing to jump on. So if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, my name is Maddie McCoy. This is my husband, Brendan, and we have been drinking and sharing ketones for a little over 3.5 years. It's crazy to say that out loud because it doesn't feel like it's that long. And before we jump into one of our very favorite topics that we're going to talk about today, I kind of wanted to round out, if you were on the Huddle call on Monday, if you were listening closely, Kate and Nick left us with some homework. And they gave us some homework to hand deliver 5 or more packets to people face to face before the call today, or it might have even been this week. So if you did that already, kudos to you. Make sure you celebrate that. If you didn't do that yet, it's very okay. We're only halfway through the week. But I wanted to share, before we kick into what we're really going to be talking about, I wanted to share, if it was okay with everybody, how that experience of hand delivering packets went for us. Because I did that yesterday with my friend and teammate Teresa, who's on. She had this amazing idea that touched a whole nother group of people who live right where we live, just 20 minutes away, who we didn't think about initially. And she had this idea in Mexico. She and I, when we were there together, swimming in one of the pools, she said, hey, you know what? Right next to my family's campsite, there's a huge Amish community, and my dad works with a lot of them. How would you feel if we went into, their community and asked them about ketones? Like, do you think that that would be something worth exploring? And I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's a great idea. So yesterday, and Teresa's on, I know she's with her grandma right now, but she took a couple minutes to share exactly what we did yesterday. I'm so proud of her for having this idea. You guys, we went door to door and went up to different families yesterday and shook up ketones with them. So Teresa's on, she's going to share how it went. And so Teresa, I think you should be able to unmute yourself, but if you just want to share what we did yesterday and how we did it and any big takeaways that you had, I think that would be really helpful on the heels of Monday's call where we talked all about hand delivering ketones to people.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teresa. So yes, so we went to the Amish, and I'm nervous doing the belly to belly, but I just thought, you know what? It's not that I see the Amish every day. So if this doesn't go well, I don't have to face them again necessarily. So, yeah, we started going out to door, and yes, we had a couple like, no's, we're not interested. But then we ended up like on a good rhythm where people were saying, yes, they were interested. And we would just like, eventually the first person, we had them pick out the flavor. We mixed it up in front of them. And with our Dixie cups, we like poured it into the cup and had them taste it, which they all seemed to really, really enjoy. And they were asking actual questions, and a lot of them wanted the information to take back into their home and discuss it. And they told us like when to come back again, that they actually want us to come back and follow up with them. So next week we will follow up with them for sure and see where this goes. And it was just a lot of fun just hearing different stories from the different culture.
So yeah, it was a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but we went, and I'm so proud of you, Teresa, to 10 different families' homes with physical Dixie cups, with a shaker of ketones, told them about it. And the biggest takeaway that I had, we hear Brian say this, if you've been around this community for a little while, you hear him say over and over, 90% of life is really just showing up. And Teresa had the idea to actually show up to people yesterday and give them the gift of learning about this because they're not on social media. They wouldn't have seen her posts. They don't know what ketones are. They work really, really long hours outside and have lots of kids. Like they are so excited about something natural that could make them feel better. So and then what was really cool was we got to practice together talking to people face to face and just bringing it up, right? Which for a lot of people, that in its own right is a huge win. Then we pulled into her driveway and she said to me, "Hey, would you come with me to talk to my next door neighbors?" So we talked to both sides of her neighbors after we visited the Amish community yesterday, and they're going to come to her tasting party tomorrow night. So it really also is just an immense confidence booster too. So if you haven't done that exercise yet that was talked about on Monday, I highly encourage you to and to share with someone that you work closely with how it went because it's really, really empowering to put yourself out of your comfort zone and just do it. So that transitions really well into what we actually want to talk to you about today. Because if you're showing up to this call, you have a lot of other choices to do on your Wednesday morning, but something inside of you is telling you, I think that this could work. I want this to work. I see that this is real. I know that, this could be something that changes my family and the legacy of my family, and I want this to work for me. So if you're showing up to this call this morning, there is something inside of you that wants that. And how many of you feel like, okay, I know this is real. I know I can do this. I hear people say these things and I can totally, I could easily go up to somebody and talk to them about it, or I don't mind getting uncomfortable, right? But I just would really love for somebody to tell me exactly the ABCs of what should I do every single day to actually make sure I'm growing my business? Like, what are the specific things that the people who are having success with it are doing? What does that look like? And so that's what we're going to talk about today is a concept called DMOs, which when I learned about this, we've been in this business for 3.5 years. When we heard about this,
we were about a year in.
And once we actually made the decision, it was not the first time we heard about it, but when we actually made the decision of we want to make this business work and we're excited about this, it's when we saw a lot of growth, and it was committing to these daily activities that allowed me to, much sooner than we thought was possible, leave my full-time job. And I've been doing this full-time for a little over 2 years. So I'm really passionate about this conversation and highlighting exactly what those steps are.
Yeah. So for me, at least, when the first time we heard DMO, I was like, the conversation went on for 20 minutes before I was finally okay, what does that actually stand for? So if you've never heard this term before, DMO simply stands for daily methods of operations. So what are those things that you're doing every single day that are going to move your business forward? And the other thing, I know Maddie mentioned the Huddle call on Monday. The other thing I'll mention is, I think it was Kate who said, there's a difference between jumping on a Huddle call, which is awesome, and then hopping off and saying, I worked my business today. It's not exactly the same thing if you're not implementing and taking action steps towards what that's going to be. So, like Maddie said, when we kind of heard about this, we sat down with the people we work really closely with. So I would encourage you all to do the same once we leave this call, and figured out how much time do you have in a day to dedicate towards your business? For not everybody has 8 hours that they can sit down and work on their Prove It business. For a lot of people, it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. So this should really fit into your window of time and give you very clear, direct things to do that are going to move your business forward if you do them consistently and with repetition. The other thing I'll just really quickly mention, Chris Webb, I'm not sure if he's on, but we were talking about this little challenge in Mexico. And Chris brought up a really good point that I had never considered before. He said consistency is only half the battle. The other half is consecutiveness, because consistently, you could go to the gym once a week consistently for a year, and you're probably not going to get awesome results. But if you go to the gym consecutively, consistently, you're going to get really good results. It's the same type of thing. The same reason we don't recommend to our customers, hey, drink 7 packs of ketones in a day twice a week. We say drink 2 packs of ketones every day for a week, and they're going to get better results than if they just load up on ketones twice a week.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And the other thing that I think is really important as we get into what these daily activities are, that really was like a light bulb moment for me of, okay, that's a little magical perspective to have. So when this DMO concept, daily method of operations, was introduced to us, it was also shared with this premise that, and I could absolutely relate to this when I worked a job at a college, which was my old job. There is a huge difference between working in your business and doing things like, okay, I'm just gonna take the phone calls from people who call me today, and
I need
I'm
to
just
help this
gonna,
person reset their password.
I'm gonna help them set up their smart chip or edit their smart chip, and responding all day long to the business that you have right now. All of a sudden your day, poof, goes by, right? Like, can anyone relate to that? Sometimes you might go to your job, if you work a job right now, and you're like, I don't even know what I did today. I just was so busy with stuff. So there's a huge difference between working inside your business and working on your business. And the concept of DMOs and these daily activities is working on your business and taking care of the business that you want to have, not just the business that you have right now, and actually kicking the ball further down the field of your goals. So I think it's really important to understand that going into this is these are things that are your non-negotiables you're going to do every single day. And then the rest of your day, you can respond to the things that are coming in.
Yeah. And to that point, I think one of the things that has worked really well for us, even as we continue to do this, is when we block off, if it's a half hour that we're going to spend on our DMOs, if that's what our time allows for, when you start that, put your phone on do not disturb so you're not getting inbound calls and texts and messages constantly, and dedicate that full half hour to doing the activities that are going to move your business forward. Then take your phone off do not disturb, and then you can respond and go from there. So we had this little idea. We did a little boot camp with our team
The beginning.
at the beginning of the month. That's when it was. And as part of that, we put together a little DMO challenge with them of some really simple, basic activities that no matter if you're a week in or 10 years in, they don't really change, which was the whole point behind it, because we had people who wanted to do this challenge that were brand new, and we had people who have been around for 3 years. So we are going to go through those just so you all can get an idea of what we're doing with our team. But the thing I'll say is tailor your DMOs to your style. That if you do a lot of stuff on social media, you can probably tailor it a little bit more towards social media and building that way. We do a lot of stuff person to person and with existing relationships, so ours are tailored a little bit more towards that. But you can really change these however you want. So I would encourage you all to work with whoever it is that you work closely with to come up with a list of things that make sense for you and that fit into the amount of time that you can commit to it. I would say, it's easy to leave a call like this and be super excited and say, I'm going to reach out to 25 people every single day. I would say start small and work your way up to it, because it's really easy to get, the first time you miss a day, if you get discouraged and then let a slip turn into a slide, and then all of a sudden a week goes by and you haven't reached out to anybody because you can't commit to doing 25 in a day. Does that make sense? So let's get into what ours are, which is a good transition.
Yes, and I will say for clarity too, this list of things that we're going to go through is exactly what I did to be able to leave my job. So I am giving you the exact recipe of what I did consecutively and consistently to grow our business to the point of me being able to walk away from our job. So that doesn't have to be your goal by any means, but I just want to, for clarity, say, like, I wasn't doing Prove It full time when I started doing these daily activities. I did these in addition to my full-time job that I had and all
Mhm.
the other stuff we had going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So we have the least exciting PDF to share with you. I whipped it up in about 10 minutes. So it is not meant, it's not like a pretty thing that we put together, but it's a little tracking sheet that we shared with our team. And you can't see it because I need to hide these floating controls. This is it. Okay, so we printed out, there are we can fit 3 days on a sheet of paper. We printed out 10 of them, stapled them together to make up a 30-day challenge. So the first of these things is reach out to 5 new people about drinking ketones. So one of the purposes behind this is we're not reaching out to the same 10 people that we've been talking to since we started our ketone journey who are just kind of dragging their feet. It's 5 brand new conversations with people who may or may not know that you're drinking ketones, but however that looks for you, even if it's as simple as, are you drinking ketones yet? If it's someone you meet at the grocery store, if it's someone who's been following you on social media, if it's a childhood friend, it can be anyone who fits into this category of somebody new to talk to them about drinking ketones for the very first time.
yes.
And really quickly, I'll just mention too, there's more space on here because one of the things we're doing with our team is, since it's a tracking sheet, rather than just putting a little check mark like, yes, I did that, we're putting names written down so we can go back, flip to previous days and see, who's been interested, who's shown some interest, what kind of conversations have we had, rather than being like, I can't remember if I talked to them or not.
Yeah, so there's enough space on there, and that is an important piece of this. If you fluff it, you're fluffing yourself, right? So we can get into the habit of easily kind of feeling like we're talking to the same people. So having an actual list to be able to say to yourself, yes, I talked to 5 brand new people today. I didn't say I did. I didn't think I did. I didn't, get through the week and say, yeah, I do that. I don't know why it's not working. No, if you have to physically put the names down, it's a really good way for you to test yourself of like, am I actually doing this on a daily basis? And not to criticize yourself or judge yourself, but just to use it as a gauge, right? And it doesn't have to be reach outs. It can be something like a keto drive-by as well. So that's the first one. The second one is connect 3 people, at 3 or more, but a minimum of 3, to some sort of existing resource. So maybe, it would be connecting 3 of your customers to a leader that you work closely with to answer some of their questions, or inviting them to a guest call. Like the guest call that we had last night with Dr. Andy was phenomenal. If you didn't watch that, like, holy moly, any customer that you have that watches that replay is going to be a customer for a very long time. So utilizing the resources that Prove It already has, and connecting either 3 customers, 3 people who are interested, 3 people who got trial packs, to either people within your team in 3-way chats or on 3-way calls, or to guest calls, or to Prove It TV videos.
Yeah. Or it can be as simple as sending someone the campfire video who's interested in learning more.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Yeah, so whatever we like to use, and we use this analogy a lot, it's very fitting right now because it's right around Halloween, but I don't know what made me think of the itsy bitsy spider when I first heard of the connect concept. But if you think about a spider web, right? A spider web is more sticky and withholds more rain the more strands that it has. So think about your customer in the center of your spider web. And every time you connect them to something, every time you touch base with them, so you connect them to a couple people that you work closely with, you invite them to a guest call, that's another strand. You offer to do a drive-by for their mom or their friend, that's another strand.
Invite them to an event.
Invite them to an event, invite them to a ketone tasting, offer them samples of the new flavor. Those are all strands in their sticky customer connect spider web. And then if there's a little rain, and if they get hit with life, if, they do the reboot and they're on the potty a lot, if whatever happens and some rain comes through, that web is sticky enough to withhold it. If there's only a couple strands, it's not as sticky of a customer and not as sticky as an experience. And so that's kind of a way, I don't know if that's making sense, but that's a really good way to think about connect is you don't just connect them on the front end before they order. You're constantly adding strands to that spider web so that it's really sticky and really strong.
Yeah. Adding value and not you being the one strand that the spider's hanging from.
Yes.
It just makes it so much stickier. So that's the second piece. The third is following up with 3 people. This can be as simple as the day before. If 3 people responded from your initial reach outs, at any point you can follow up with them. Like, hey, have you had a chance to watch that campfire video yet? Hey, have you had a chance to think about if you want to try this yet? Do you want me to send you a couple options? Do you know that, for existing customers, do you know that you have 3 $20 give and get coupons? It can be any method of follow up. Hey, did you have a chance to think about going to Epic with us yet? Really any sort of follow up that there is, because as we know, not everyone buys ketones the very first time we talk to them, and it takes a lot of follow up. But I think the key is not writing down the same 3 names of your friend who's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll try those someday, every single day to let yourself off the hook and just get it done. Following up with people to add value and help them experience ketones in a good way.
Yes. So that's is this making sense so far? I know we're sharing our screen, so we can't see all your bubbles at the moment, but feel free to comment if you have any questions. The next daily activity. So again, we're going through these in great detail, but once you would do this for a couple of days, this is, as you can imagine, not something that would take you overly long. The next daily activity is the one that when I first heard it, when I was newer and I really was going to start doing this, I was like, that's a little scary. But I promise you, it's not that scary. And it's actually one of the ones that I look the most forward to every day now. So every day, the people who are doing this challenge with us are asking one customer or one person with a trial pack to put up a Facebook post, and I'll share with you what I've been using as like a message of what I've been saying to people to invite them to do that, or asking one person about the business. So if you're doing this consistently and consecutively, and you're following up with existing customers every day and people with trial packs and people with sample packs, guess what? You're going to have some people respond back to you to say, oh my gosh, it's going amazing. I'm down X amount of pounds. I, didn't fall asleep on the couch last night. I can't believe that I haven't had any ice cream this week, or whatever types of messages I feel like most of us have received before, right? Like, have you ever gotten a message that just makes you smile because you know that they're loving it and they now know that they're loving it, right? So when you get a message like that, the next easiest thing to do is be like, oh my gosh, if you're willing to tag me in a Facebook post sharing like a little bit about your experience, like you just said, I will send you a packet of the new Harvest Sunrise flavor that just got released. Or, oh my gosh, like, would you be willing to tag me in a post about that? Like, it just would be so huge for other people in your life to hear what you've noticed after 5 days or whatever, and offer to help them write the post if, that would be helpful for them. But I have been blown away, even personally, from now doing this 18 days in a row, how many customers are totally down to do that, especially like I used to almost wait until they were drinking it for a month and they had results. When they just get their box, like I just had a man post with his box, he's a customer, and he just shared a post that said, sampled these a couple weeks ago at a festival, ordered 2 boxes to try. I can't wait to feel better and have more energy. Like, you never know unless you ask, and just getting into the habit of doing that. Then if they do put up a post and they have some people who are interested, the business conversation is a really great next step. Or you can just ask people right away. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just ask if they're interested in being a customer or a promoter. But making sure to do one of those specific asks every single day is also on this daily list of activities.
Yeah. And then the last thing is just adding 5 friends on social media. If you're not on social media, it can be meeting 5 new people. It can be getting 5 new names from a vendor fair. It can be any number of things, but adding 5 people to your network somehow. I know that we didn't do a ton with social media on this list. We still use social media, right? And we still post about it. So by adding friends to your network, they're still seeing those things. And when they like a post, from you going to the Better trip, that's a really good group of people to follow up with for your 5 new outreaches that day or the next day or whatever it might be. So again, you can tailor these however you want. These have worked really well for us. We, like I said, we did this as part of a boot camp. So we did a little bit of, there's some prizes attached to if you do 30 consecutive days. But even if you only did 29 of the 30 days, I can guarantee you that having 145 new conversations about ketones, 29 new business conversations, and doing however many outreaches that is, I didn't do the mental math on that.
Mhm.
I can guarantee you that doing that amount of work is going to be more valuable than the prize you just missed out on by one day.
Yep. And actually one of the ladies who is doing the challenge is on to actually share how it's
Great.
going. So Christina, I don't know if you can unmute Jana Peters, but she has consistently done these activities 18 days in a row. So Jana, if you're still listening and you want to pop off of mute quick and just share what your experience has been like and how it's been doing it together, I think that could be really helpful for people. So whatever's on your heart about it to share.
Hi. Okay. So yeah, I went to the boot camp that Maddie and Brendan had. It was on a Saturday. They gave us this assignment to do, asked us if we wanted to do it, so I was willing to do it. I've been doing it consistently since, I don't even know, how long has it been, you guys?
18 days, October 7th.
Oh, doesn't even seem like 18 days. It seemed a little scary at first, definitely asking people to post or to like promote. But honestly, like it hasn't been scary. I work full time. I also have a part-time job. I'm a mother. So like doing these DMOs, I've always wanted to do them, but I'm like, I can't fit it into my schedule. I've definitely been able to fit it into my schedule, and it probably started out almost like the first night was an hour. I like to overthink and over be perfect probably on all of this stuff. And once I got that out of my mind and it being a simple message of, hey, are you drinking ketones yet? Because I don't have the time to create a 20-minute, message to somebody. And I found out like just sending that, hey, are you drinking ketones yet? To people on my friends list or follower list, surprisingly, a lot of people did get back to me. I didn't get completely ghosted. And the people who did answered me, most of them have gotten trial packs. So that just created the conversation to connect people to, once they got their trial pack, I was like, hey, once your trial packs arrive, can you post? So it's honestly like been really easy. The hour has turned down to like 15 minutes to even 10 minutes some nights. And just not overthinking it and doing it has been really helpful. And having our community group chat we do have for the boot camp, is more, pushing people to continue on as well.
Oh, thanks, Jana. I know you're at
Yeah.
school, so thanks for
Yeah.
taking a couple of minutes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will say if you're interested in doing this, like these are not hard activities, right? It's just making the decision to do them. You don't have to do it in a group setting like we are. You can do it with one of your leaders. You can grab a buddy that you work closely with and say, let's be accountability partners for this. The thing that I also just want to highlight in case it's not obvious is this only works if you track it, because that's how you'll measure the growth that you've had.
Mhm.
So, doing it quick, whatever, like waiting for an appointment is great, but make sure if you don't have, however you're going to track it with you, your notebook or your papers like we have, that you go back and do that at the end of the day. Because what we actually did was we took a inventory, so to speak, of our volume before starting this 30-day challenge and seeing what happens after 30 days. And the thing that's cool too is that sometimes you do have to do it for a little while for the seeds to sprout. But if you are consecutively and consistently planting these seeds, they will pop. And if you start doing this now, They're going to pop around Black Friday, people, which is really exciting.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's what I was going to say is don't fall into the trap of doing this for 5 days in a row and be like, oh, well, this actually doesn't work. I'm going to stop. By doing this for 30 days from now until Thanksgiving, you're not going to maybe see it popping right away, but these people are going to be there for Black Friday, December, January, February. And by adding value through the connect or through the follow-up, those people are going to be super sticky and not just the one-time Black Friday BOGO orders, but they're actually going to be like here for November, December, January, February, beyond. And then before you know it, then they're sharing it with people and everything like that. So like Maddie said, it takes a little bit of time, but the nice thing is by doing this consistently, when we get to the end of the month or like to this point of the month, you're not scrambling to try to hit multiplier or go MVP because you've been having conversations for a long time leading up to it.
And the last thing, so do we all think that this could be something we could do? Like hearing this, you're not overwhelmed by it. You're like, okay, doable. So we'll share the PDF of this. Oh, I just got mine wet with my ice water. Typical. We'll share the PDF of that in, there's like a chat with all the champs so that your champ can send this to you if it's something that you're interested in, or we might be able to, I'll send it to Christina too in case she can do something with it, but or just tracking it in a notebook. The thing that I really want to leave you with is you have to start, right? You can't just hear the stuff, think it's a good idea and not actually start doing the things. But promise me and promise yourself, if you happen to not do it perfectly one day, you're not a bad person. The sky's not falling. You didn't fail. It's kind of like, we grew up playing sports, but it's like a round of golf. If one of the holes is a little sloppy, but 17 of them you did really well, you'll still have a good score. So you can't going into this and doing it for 30 days is a commitment. It's like 75 hard, but for your business. You will win if you stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a day where you slip a little bit, just keep going the next day. The next day is a fresh day. So, oh, can we share the PDF here? I wonder if we
I don't
can.
know. Probably.
Is there anything else you want to share on that while we're trying to put it? I think your computer. Sorry, we'll try to see if we can.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Thanks, Candace. Okay, I think you
Oh,
just
yeah,
hit
hit send.
send. Cool beans. Okay, we just shared it in the comments of the chat. So you can take it from there, but we'll also send it in the leadership chat so that they can share it with you too. So yeah, that's really in a nutshell
Mm-hmm.
what you can do to grow a big business.
Yeah. Drink your ketones twice a day instead of 7 ketones twice a week.
Yep. So thanks for jumping on it, everyone. I hope that this was helpful. It was really nice to spend a little of our morning with you, and let's do it. I think goodbye.
I think so too.